Hello, my name is Candice Chastain, and I'm a Technical Communications major at Arizona State University. I'd like to welcome you to my Capstone portfolio for TWC 490. Why did I choose technical communication? I began my college education many years ago, but after completing the core curriculum, I was still undecided in my major. I made a poor decision to quit college. However, later in my professional career, I discovered that although highly experienced in my field, the lack of a bachelor's degree was keeping me from progressing to better career opportunities. As a seasoned executive assistant, I was responsible for creating, editing, formatting, and presenting a variety of information and documents. To enhance my current skill set and to create opportunities to further my career, I decided to finish my degree in technical communications at Arizona State University. In order to graduate, each student of the Technical Communications program must authenticate their knowledge of each of the program's specified learning outcomes. In this portfolio, I will demonstrate my understanding of these learning outcomes by using an assortment of documents I created during my enrollment in the TC program. The TC program is outlined by 4 categories of learning outcomes. Each category is then segmented into more specific outcomes. I have labeled each of these with an acronym and color code. I've assigned these to each artifact to highlight an understanding of the specific learning outcome. Rhetorical knowledge involves analyzing the audience, purpose, and the context of a document in depth to gain a better understanding of expectations and to assist the author in responding accordingly. For the rhetorical knowledge category, I have assigned the acronym RK in a purple color. This category has 9 outcomes. The outcomes I found most beneficial are RK2, RK7, and RK8. I feel that knowing your audience is the most important element in creating any document. If you want a desirable response from your audience, you must write with them in mind. Secondly, the genre in which you present your information should also be in line with your audience's expectations. Using the appropriate genre is the first impression in your conversation with the audience. Throughout this program, I have been exposed to numerous new tools and technologies to assist in the creation of technical communication. Using proper technology can greatly enhance your ability to convey information. Critical thinking, reading, and writing centers around how you analyze, interpret, and incorporate information within your communications. For this category, I have assigned the acronym CTRW in a green color. This category has 5 learning outcomes. CTRW2 is the most valuable outcome for me. I have also found this concept the most difficult to convey to my professional peers. Often there are few that are passionate about the quality of a communication, and they give it very little thought. However, by keeping this outcome at the center of all my communications, I will ensure a well-rounded and in-depth final product. Processes encompasses all of the steps taken throughout the writing process to create a final document. It is the idea of creating a plan for the document creation from beginning to end. Strong emphasis is put on the idea of a living document, which means multiple drafts and revisions ensure a more polished final communication. For this category, I assigned the acronym P in a yellow color. This category has 9 outcomes. I found P1 to be the most important outcome. There is almost always room for improvement or redesign of any communication. Our eyes also have a habit of reading what they intended to write rather than what may actually be written. When available, peer reviews can be extremely beneficial in proofreading a document. The final category, knowledge of conventions, involves the rules and regulations aspects of creating a document. For this category, I assigned the acronym KC in an orange color. This category has 7 learning outcomes. I feel that KC4 and KC6 are basic principles that must be kept in mind when creating a communication. Proper language, tone, grammar, syntax, punctuation, and spelling create the skeleton of the document. Without it, the communication will likely fail. Audiences will often lose respect for the author and their communication if it contains multiple errors. It implies they were too careless to review their document prior to publication. I've included 4 different artifacts of different genres that establish my proficiency in each of the learning outcomes. Each artifact exhibits multiple outcomes in multiple categories. My first artifact is a narrated presentation entitled Emancipation from Documentation that was created for TWC 301 General Principles of Multimedia Writing. The purpose of the presentation was to outline the steps involved in the PSA writing approach for others to use. This presentation was created in Microsoft PowerPoint and included elements of text, audio, images, smart art, and animation. I recorded the audio for each slide via the iPhone Voice Memos app and downloaded them to my computer. I then edited each sound file to match the animation and timing of each slide, which produced a seamless presentation. I combined all skills and concepts learned in the course to present how to use the PSA writing approach. The presentation was written to serve as an instructional tool for a variety of audiences. I documented each step of the process and also demonstrated the PSA process in action. In this presentation, I demonstrated writing strategies that can be applied across multiple genres. The process shows flexible strategies for generating, revisiting, editing, and proofreading documents. The process also encourages multiple drafts and revisions as necessary. The final presentation was published on my personal YouTube channel, and in this format, the presentation was easily accessible to primary, secondary, and tertiary audiences. Artifact number 3 is a course portfolio that was created for TWC 421 Principles of Writing with Technology. The portfolio consists of all work involved in creating an infographic entitled Digital Literacy in the 21st Century, Out with the Old, In with the New. The purpose of the infographic was to educate the audience on the evolution of communication and that digital literacy is a must to be successful in today's society. For this assignment, I used multiple technologies to create the final product. I used Microsoft Publisher to create custom images, PictoChart, a web-based software, to compile the images and text into an infographic, Google Chrome and personal interviews to research statistical information, Microsoft Word to document the process, and Adobe PDF to publish the portfolio. My statistical data for the infographic was compiled from the course textbook, numerous websites, social media sites, and ASU's research databases and online library tools. I had to be extremely careful not to be distracted by bogus numerical data and to analyze all data before including it in my infographic. For each element, I went to the most authoritative and reputable sites to gather information. Much of my research data was omitted from the final project as I did not feel it supported the objective effectively. I also had to be careful in my use of language as not to offend the audience by implying they were incompetent if they were digitally illiterate. Instead, I chose to speak from a place of excitement, progressive thought, and encouragement. I was also required to document my entire creative process, including all iterations and peer review comments. Through the process of creating the infographic, I gained a deeper appreciation of the need for peer collaboration in multiple drafts. My project evolved from a straight text to a visually appealing infographic. It represented my transformation from pure academic to technical writer. From an academic perspective, I had much of the required information in my first draft, yet it was through the critiquing process that I saw the most improvement in my thought process and idea development. I had to rely on others and trust they would do their part. However, it was important for me to also know how to balance those critiques with my original concept. This demonstrated an understanding of the collaborative and social aspects of the research and writing processes. Given the majority of my infographic was composed of statistical data, I ensured that all information was referenced. An annotated bibliography was submitted at the start of the project, and all sources were referenced in the final course portfolio and the infographic. Because I wanted to inspire audience participation in the digital atmosphere, I chose to include website links to document my research at the bottom of the infographic. I felt that using URLs rather than traditional citations would encourage users to interact with the source data. This keeps in line with the look and feel of a compressed infographic style while ethically supporting the source data sites, which depend heavily on user traffic. The final portfolio was then uploaded to ASU Blackboard site in a PDF format and publicly accessible via pictochart.com. Artifact number 4 is a narrated presentation that was created as a high-level guide for management communication. It is a compilation of concepts learned through assignments completed in TWC 347, Written Communication for Managers. Assignments included a grant proposal, podcast transcript, podcast, formal vendor letter, and company memo. Each assignment response was tailored to each rhetorical situation. Multiple genres were used and incorporated varying levels of tone and language. The presentation does not refer to these individual assignments, but rather focuses on the best practices used to create them. I included planning steps and concepts for managers to research, write, and publish their communications. Because I was speaking from a place of authority on management communication, I had to be extremely conscious of my language, syntax, grammar, punctuation, and spelling. I ensured that my examples of communication were relevant to the manager's typical workload. I also coached the audience on language and tone choices that would support the effectiveness of their communications. I have thoroughly enjoyed my time in ASU's technical communication program. I've learned so much in what now seems like a short time. I've also seen tremendous growth in my career since I enrolled. I'd like to express my sincere gratitude to all of my TWC professors for their direction, encouragement, and most of all, their patience. This has been the most difficult accomplishment in my life thus far, and I could not have persevered without you. Thank you for your time, and I hope you enjoyed viewing my presentation as much as I enjoyed creating its content.